When asked about what is going wrong with the Toronto Raptors, Thaddeus Young did not hold back, and he made 3 very crucial points that I want to dig into. If you have ever had an awkward lunch with your grandfather, you know that sometimes as you get older in life, you stop giving a shit. And while it may feel weird to refer to Thad as a grandfather, given that we are the same age, as one of the smartest and most well-respected vets in the NBA, when Thad speaks, players listen. We're going to listen to what he said, and I'm going to expand in areas that I think he would have expanded had the cameras not been rolling. I'm going to give you my take. What did he mean when he said the Raptors went into self-destruct mode? What was he talking about in terms of the relationship between shot selection and defense? And what are his real thoughts on Scottie Barnes and his perceived sophomore slump? If you're new around here, my name is Robert. This is Pensari Basketball. Make sure to hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, and grab your coffee. Let's get to it.
You know, it's tough, with me having so much experience and, the other guys not having as much. It's easy to kind of get down on yourself, or it's easy to kind of, go into the weeds. For us, we just got to stay the course. Just stay the course, continue to just, believe in what we're doing out there. We did put ourselves in position to win a basketball game, but, we went in self-destruct mode.
So what did Thaddeus Young mean when he said self-destruct mode? I think what he meant was that the Raptors stopped playing together. That shot selection has a bleeding effect on chemistry, not to mention momentum of the game. That when you take shots out of rhythm, not only are you less effective as a team on offense, but your defense also has less time to organize. When Thaddeus Young says that we went into self-destruct mode, what I think he means is that certain players went outside of what was working in the first half. If you watch the first half of the Indiana Pacers-Toronto Raptors game, yes, you can say that the Pacers were not hitting their shots and they just had a flurry of threes in the second half. But I think if you really go and break the game down, you would see that the shots that the Raptors gave up in the second half were not the same shots they gave up in the first half, largely because the shots they were taking in the first half and the ones they took in the second half were not similar. In the first half, they got paint touches. They moved the ball around. They looked for the open shooter. There's an old quote that if you respect the game will respect you, and there are principles within basketball that you must adhere to if you want an efficient offense that is consistently good at churning out good shots. It is a make or miss league. We say that all the time. And what that really means is that over a long period of time, there's a reason why the NBA season is not 7 games long. It is 82 games long, because 82 games is a sufficient sample size to see what a team is made of. And so while I understand that fan psychology is to massively overreact to a hot streak or a cold streak asking for trades, players are who they are. And over an 82 game sample size, if you play the right way and you do not self-destruct, the wins will take care of themselves. What Thaddeus Young did not say last night at any point in his interview was that we lost because we didn't have Pascal, Siakam, and Fred VanVleet. He did not say we lost because we were the less talented team. He did not say that we lost because the Pacers are one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the NBA. Suggests that you look at yourself first, that you focus on the things that you can control. And if Thaddeus Young's statements are to be taken at face value, that what happened to the Raptors in the second half had much less to do with what the Pacers were doing and much more to do with what the Raptors weren't doing.
You also mentioned the self-destruct mode, but really you guys lost by just a range of threes that just came down all at once. So
self-destruct mode. It stems from us coming down and getting away from what got us to 12 to 14 point lead, and then sometimes our offense sets up our defense, and when we're taking bad shots or we're not taking the right shots or doing the right thing on offense, it leads to us going down on defense and them getting a wide range of threes because we're not back on defense. When it's hard for a team to get a wide range of threes when they're taking the ball out of the net every single time, and then they have to walk it up now. They have to actually set up a play, as opposed to 3 or 4 guys leaking out and then they're just spraying the ball out and then we're trying to scramble and get back. So, it's a lot of different factors that go into this stuff, and one thing always leads.
So what did Thaddeus Young mean when he said that the offense and the defense are correlated? So one of the things you realize when you've played basketball at a high level or have covered the game or have just even watched the game with a keen eye is that momentum is a real thing. that sometimes you can get a team going, they can start feeling really good about themselves, and suddenly that basket gets really big. And sometimes you can shut that down, play the right way, stop the bleeding, and suddenly the team's not feeling themselves anymore and you stop the run. You'll often see coaches call timeouts to end runs. There's a reason for this, because basketball is a game of rhythm and momentum. Sometimes you sit a guy too long, he loses his rhythm. Sometimes a call doesn't go your way, and you're thinking about that call 15, 16 seconds later, suddenly it starts to spiral. It starts to snowball. Basketball is a game of runs and momentum. And the Raptors gave the Pacers all kinds of momentum with their shot selection last night. So, is it just the Raptors not guarding? Yeah, that's part of it. Surely that is very much part of the effort element, the communication. It wasn't great in the second half. There was a play last night where OG Anunoby makes a layup, but he falls out of bounds. And you would notice this with Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam sometimes, that oftentimes the Raptors either looking for contact and or just driving out of control, that when they finish a play, whether on a make or a miss, they will sometimes have a player fall out of bounds. And that player sometimes is late coming up. And when that happens, there has to be some communication that we are playing 5-on-4, and the 4 defenders who do make it back have to adjust until the 5th defender can come back into the play. Last night, on that OG Anunoby layup, that didn't happen. So the communication doesn't happen. Someone has to realize we're playing 4-on-5. The Raptors don't communicate, and they give up a 3. So any mathematicians out there may realize that you just exchanged 2 points on a positive possession for 3 points on a negative possession. What you may not realize, however, is that once you get that player who just hit that 3 going, they become harder to stop. A guy like Buddy Hield, guys like Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin. The Pacers had a slew of talented guards who could have erupted at any point, and the point of a good defense is to make sure that you stifle that and keep those players in check, that you do not let them string together multiple positive possessions, because, as I said, basketball is a game of rhythm, and if you get that other team going and they start feeling good about themselves, it's going to be hard to stop. And you're not doing your defense any favors by falling out of bounds, looking for calls, complaining on your way down the court, or taking shots out of rhythm. When you take shots that are outside the offensive structure, as in you're taking shots early in the clock that maybe aren't the greatest shots. When you take a lot of threes, for instance, long shot, long rebound. How many times have you heard that? When you take a lot of threes, you open yourself up to giving up a lot of threes in transition and or giving up fast break points. The Raptors lost the fast break point battle last night, and that was just not the case earlier in the season. Taking good shots has a ripple effect not only on your offense, but also on your defense.
Is the sophomore slump more to do with like self-confidence or the fact that teams scout you better maybe in your second year?
It could be a little bit of both, just depending on who the player is. I think right now, teams are scouting, but it's never the scout or the team. It's always you yourself, and Scottie puts a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on his shoulders, and sometimes that can be your biggest killer, but I love that about him. That he puts a lot of stress and a lot of pressure on himself to be great and to be better each and every day, and it's only going to make him into a better individual and a better player.
Very confident individual. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that confidence waver at all?
No. You still see him driving to the basket. You still see him taking shots with confidence. You still see him, getting into his one-on-one mode where, he has a mismatch and he's taking guys. So, the confidence hasn't wavered. I think it's just more so, just sometimes guys have a bad streak of games or, they have a bad start to a season and then they take off at some point, and things will change. They always do.
So Thaddeus Young remains one of the biggest supporters of Scottie Barnes. He was last year. As he came onto the team, he really emboldened Scottie to take that step, to take the reins of the offense. He has been a very big proponent and a very big advocate of Scottie so far. Now, why does he feel this way? Probably because he has eyes and he's probably seen a lot of superstars come and go and he can see the groundwork is there for Scottie. But to those fans on Reddit today, Real GM, Twitter, Facebook, oh man, Raptors fan base, honestly man, I love you guys, but wow. I saw 7 posts comparing Scottie Barnes to Michael Carter Williams. Bro, are you kidding me? Look, let me give you some perspective on what I think is happening with Scottie right now. It's not just the scouting catching up to him. It's also not just, oh, he's not very good anymore. That guy who won Rookie of the Year. It's not Pascal, Siakam, and Fred VanVleet. We're just deflecting so much attention away from him. Man, if you actually watch those games, you realize that there are so many times, even with those guys on the court, that Scottie was going up against double teams in the post and still finishing. It is a combination of a lot of things. But one of the most underrated parts of this, Scottie went into absolute beast mode heading into the draft, okay? There's a reason why he won Rookie of the Year. He absolutely shattered expectations by outworking just about every single player in his rookie class going into the season. Then he leads all rookies in minutes played last year. He played more minutes than any player on the Raptors team. Then he goes down with an injury against the Philadelphia 76ers with that left ankle sprain. Before he can barely recover from that, he is thrust back into the situation, plays hurt in the playoffs. The Raptors battle back from being down 0-3. They don't get swept. They end up losing in 6 games. Do you think that he took 5 weeks to 8 weeks off to recover from what was basically 12 months of work straight? No, he didn't. This is a guy who has gone from Montverde, all offseason working, Florida State, all offseason working, entire Raptor season, second in the league in distance traveled on defense, played center, point guard, shooting guard, power forward, small forward, played out of position, played hurt 4 times last year. This guy played hurt. And every time he played through an injury, we had Raptor fans saying, see, he's not very good. Some of you are stupid. I'm sorry, that might sound very rude, but there are some people in this fan base, even some people, by the way, I'm not going to go into names, but you know who you are. And you have a reputation as being a very, very smart basketball analyst. And you and I have had a private conversation. And you and I have disagreed for about 16 months now about who Scottie is and who he can become. And every single time there is a 5-game stretch where he's playing through an injury. It happened last year with that knee, with that ankle, and he suddenly hits a cold streak. And you're like, see, he's not the guy who scored 23 points against the Celtics. He's this guy who's shooting 2 for 9 and looks like a scrub. I'm not angry at you. I get it. We see the game differently. But every single time this guy has a stretch of 3 to 4 bad games, you're right there with the, see, we probably should have taken Jalen Suggs. He's not really that good. Cade was better. He's just in the right position. I am not a stupid person when it comes to basketball, man. I'm not saying that I'm perfect with my basketball takes. I've been wrong about a lot of players, man. I'm not going to lie to you. There have been quite a few players that I've been wrong about. And some Raptor fans may think that I'm wrong right now about Fred VanVleet, saying that he's not quite a point guard, or may think that I'm wrong about Pascal Siakam, saying he's not a top 5 player. But man, I see the game. I have studied this game for a very long time. You watch the game. I watch the game. And then I re-watch the game. And I study the game. So when I tell you that Scottie Barnes is going to be an effing superstar, please trust me when I say this. I haven't arrived to this conclusion based on 5 games. I have arrived to this conclusion after watching this guy for 5 years. Okay? I have watched a guy in grade 8 make passes that I don't think most Division 1 players could make. I have watched a guy who has grinded every offseason, and maybe because he is 20 or 21 years old, and if you've ever met a 20 or 21 year old, they all think that they're invincible, that they can play through pain, they can play through injuries, that they frankly don't need rest. I'm still, I'm 34 years old. I still feel that way. There is a hubris when it comes to being young. And Scottie Barnes may need to take a page out of the rest and recovery mode, because he's beating himself into the ground right now. He has no energy in those legs. He has no burst on offense. There's no legs in his jump shot. Have you played basketball before? Do you understand what tired legs do to a jumper? It makes it short. Look at the game last night. Look at his shot chart. Everything was in the paint. He has no burst, no mobility right now. But you have very smart basketball analysts. And man, I have listened to you, and I am addressing you almost directly without calling you out, because I think that it would be unprofessional to do so. But you have an eye for the game. You do see it. you tend to see the game pretty okay. But with this Scottie thing, it's getting weird. Because every time there's a passive-aggressive weirdo comment, and I'm just looking at it like, you gotta be kidding me. You're actually one of those guys who studies the analytics, studies the game, sees the game, watches the game, breaks it down just like I do, and you're arriving to the conclusion that maybe Scottie's just not that good? Bookmark this video. Hold on to it. Tell me I was wrong in 3 years. Tell me I was wrong in a year. Rub it in my face. But I will tell you right now that Scottie Barnes is going to be a superstar. And the reactionary vitriol that is coming out right now against a guy who is looking at Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam being out, playing the right way, playing hurt, playing through so much pain. This is one of the toughest players that I have seen in a very long time. Plays through so much contact, hurts. And to see him grimacing during timeouts, to see him rubbing that ankle, and then to come to the post game and see all these comments of, see, told you Scottie wasn't that good. Look at that, 2 for 10, 4 for 16, he's shit. Can't play without Fred, can't play without Siakam. When this guy becomes a superstar, y'all can hold the L. I don't mean to get adversarial and rude and crass and sink to the level of people that I do not respect. He's 21 years old, man. He hasn't had a break in close to 30 months. Take it easy. Criticism is criticism and criticism is fair. But let me tell you something. Whether it be fair criticism, like Scottie needs to be more assertive, Scottie needs to try a little bit harder, communicate a little bit better, whether it be that, or whether it be the vitriolic, he's basically Michael Carter-Williams, who's never going to be good. He's basically a role player, just benefiting from Siakam, benefiting from Fred VanVleet. Whatever type of criticism you are dishing his way, I will guarantee you that whatever he is saying to himself is even harsher. This is a player who puts a lot of pressure on himself. His 4 for 16 nights bother him more than they probably bother you, whether you are a fan or a detractor at this point. Scottie cares. You've never seen him smile after a loss. Actually evaluate. Go watch the losses. Go back and watch every loss that this team has had. And you will see a lot of people smiling, laughing, kind of light. Not Scottie Barnes. If his team is losing by 10, there are no smiles. And while he will have to grow up and he will have to mature, and there's a lot of maturing that he has to do, this is the heart of a winner. This is the heart of someone who gives a shit about winning. And if you are a fan of basketball, how are you trolling or commenting negatively about a guy who does nothing but play the right way, cares about winning, and is playing hurt because 2 key starters are out and he doesn't want to see his team suffer if he can walk onto the court? You know, through a lot of Kyle Lowry's career where he played injured, you saw those shooting slumps. You saw quite a few 3 for 20, 3 for 16 nights from Kyle Lowry. And you could tell he was battling through so much pain, but because he was such a competitor, he couldn't see himself out. If he could just walk, he would play. Scottie's the same way. Same heart. Heart of a competitor, heart of a champion. Okay? I have nothing more to say on this. It hurts me to see a fan base, not the entire fan base, but it bothers me to see certain people saying the things that they're saying right now. And some people will say, well, Rob, this is just, this is on you, right? You were talking about how Pascal Siakam should be less involved in the offense in the bubble, and you're even, basically saying that Fred VanVleet should have been benched in the Philadelphia series, and look, this is all on you. You're favoring Scottie over these guys. Yeah, I am. Because Scottie plays the right way. Scottie plays the team game. Did not see last night as an opportunity to hunt for stupid shots. Every single shot he took last night was a good shot. They didn't go in. If Scottie Barnes comes out next game and takes 35 shots and 30 of them are out of rhythm and he hijacks the offense and he no longer cares about his teammates and he's smiling after a loss, I promise you he will lose my support in 12 seconds. But I say this with a straight face. That's never going to happen because that's not who Scottie Barnes is. There's a reason why Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster, two of the smartest people in the league, had this guy as a top 2 prospect in a generational draft. It was him and Evan Mobley. Those were the top 2 guys in this draft for the Raptors. There's a reason why LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Jason Kidd, Magic Johnson, 4 of the smartest players in NBA history, have come to sing glowing praises about Scottie Barnes. You, sitting at home, watching this game, reading the box score, are not right. I promise you. I've never been so sure of a player's success. I have never been this positive that a player would succeed since maybe Kevin Durant in 2007. That is the last time that a player came into the NBA where I said, that is first ballot Hall of Famer, guaranteed top 20 player, guaranteed. There's nothing, and it wasn't because he was good at scoring, because there's a lot of guys who've been good at scoring. It wasn't because he's really tall and really athletic. It was because I listened to the man speak, because I saw his heart, because I saw where he was coming from, and I felt his love for the game. And when I listened to Scottie Barnes in grade 11 talk about the game, when I listened to him at Team USA camp talk about the game, talk about himself, when I heard his presser for the Raptors, I saw a player who loves this game. And when you love something this much and you're this talented at it, you can't be bad at it. So Raptor fans panicking, give this kid a year. I promise you, he will be great. He is already great in so many things. Don't get invested in point totals. Find me a 21-year-old in the NBA who took 16 shots last night and they were all good shots in rhythm. If you actually watched the game last night, you know that Scottie should have had like 13 assists. Would you feel better about the game if he had 13 assists? Would that number help you sleep better at night? Because it's arbitrary. He found guys for wide open layups that they missed. He found guys wide open for threes in rhythm and they missed. It happens. But do not wake up tonight and say, oh my God, Scottie had a triple single. Would it have made you feel better if he had hunted a few more rebounds? It drives me insane. The obsession with box scores on this, among this fan base, among all fan bases, is absolutely nuts. I have seen, is Paolo Banchero better than Scottie Barnes? Oh my God. You must be kidding. I'll stop. This is a rant. I'm a little upset. You can probably tell. This is a rare form for me. If you are a fan of angry rants, make sure to hit subscribe. Till next time, peace.